I'm the only one on here, so I guess I'm early to the party.
You are early. You're the most conscientious one because everybody's been on before.
Just worried about missing something.
Yeah. Do you have any questions while you're here?
No, just want to congratulate you on your great letter in the Globe and Mail. That was great.
Oh, well, they edited quite a bit. I think it was about twice as long, but yeah, they got a lot of the good points in. So
yeah, hopefully they kept the best stuff there.
I haven't reviewed it yet. I heard about it today. So
yeah, that's nice. Feels good to get one in. You make a lot of effort.
Yeah, I'm 1 for 1 with Globe and Mail now, but that was my first one with Globe and Mail. I'm about 4 out of 5 for Toronto Star. So
really, you get 4 in for every 5 you write.
Well, no, I meant I sent 5 into Toronto Star and 4 of them got in. So
wow, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you express yourself well.
Oh, thanks. Oh, Angela's here.
Angela, okay, that's good.
Actually, maybe I'll send a reminder out. So excuse me for a minute.
Sure. So we've changed this.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I should probably just shut.
Hi, Kathy. I'm Ray. You're muted.
Hi, Ray. We met at the ROM, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right. We had that. Was a tour, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
We took the cafeteria.
Right. Yeah, we talked in the cafeteria, right? Yeah. Did you have any questions while we're waiting for other people to show up?
Not really. I mean, I guess I was roped in just today, just to
just roped in.
Just to be Lynn took her lasso and got me. But basically to be in the lobby group.
You're not from out west or anything, are you?
No. My dad was from Saskatchewan though, so he used to go out and lasso canola.
I think we're supposed to be the largest canola producer in the world, right?
That's possible, and it's probably mostly Saskatchewan.
Right. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. Thanks for coming, Kathy. Thanks for responding to the call.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, are you playing a politician or a coach? Can't remember which one. Okay. Well, you'll find out soon enough.
I've done it before for Citizens Climate Lobby. So.
Okay. Fantastic. Yes. So some people are playing politicians, and other people are going to go into the room and coach. And I just help people through the agenda. One thing I really noticed, Kathy, is and it came through in the training that we got from CCL. I can't remember who gave it, but anyway, leaving lots of room and time for the politician to talk, and that is really good. I don't know whether we have it. We've created an agenda for the political meeting, and really, I don't see that in what we've got. We've got a list of 12 things, because really to do that, you need to ask an open question, don't you?
Yeah. In our meetings now, we actually, the person that does the recording actually marks down every time someone asks an open-ended question, just to encourage us to do it more and more.
Right. So you could really help us, because I don't think we rehearsed any open-ended questions the other day. And the agenda that we wrote for politicians doesn't really say, okay, ask an open question. You know, it says, briefly introduce the ask, why you are here. Ask them a few questions to further the discussion. Discuss the ask. So we don't have a particular step there, which actually says ask an open question. And I guess the open question here is, I don't know, how do you see the energy future of Ontario unrolling in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a good example of an open-ended. Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
A really easy one is, what do you think? after you've told them something, so what do you think? That's a fallback question.
So that comes back, like then you'd say that after you've actually express some of your facts, you know. Yeah. And then you say, okay, so what do you think? Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's really open-ended.
Hi, Carolyn. I guess we're just waiting for Lynn, because I think, is she the one that's organizing the demo role play?
She is.
Yeah.
She is? Okay. So I just sent her a text, and hopefully she's coming on shortly.
Right. Joyce, thank you so much. Oh, and I see Angela's here too. Thank you so much for the fact sheet. Is that going to be for the leave behind?
Yeah, I think that's what it's meant to be.
Okay, so just a couple of questions, and I know that I was just thinking how challenging this is going to be. Usually, it's good to have it framed up in an organization, you know, to have some logos, that sort of thing, right? Kind of to design it just a little bit. But it's challenging because there's so many different organizations involved, and I'm not too sure. It'll make it look a little bit more put together.
Yeah, sure. And you're kind
You
of,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, kind of official.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So Angela will just have to decide which logos she thinks should go on. Certainly
Yeah.
OCAA.
I feel like if we had done this a few days ago, we could have gotten input from Cheryl and Lynn. Everybody could have given input, and then we could have finalized it and designed it and added logos. But I'm sorry that I didn't get on it till today. So I don't know if it's kind of set up as a fact sheet. Is it a leave behind? I guess it could be a leave behind. In my mind, it wasn't really, thinking of it that way, but maybe we should get input from the other groups, especially if we're going to consider putting the logos on, and we can still send it around to everybody that registers, or we can turn it into we can put it online and just have a link and put it up in a follow-up email tomorrow or something.
Yeah, my recommendation, because it's going to be targeted to different areas, levels of government, and I'm just wondering, I mean, one that would be specific to the federal government and one specific to Ontario.
To break it up, and then
To break it up, yeah.
one as well. So we'd need three.
Sure.
They're just so similar that I turned it into one. Joyce had originally tried to break it into three. I can still do that if that's what you want. If that's what people want, yeah.
And it would be because when you receive it, you'll want to know, and you might put a note. You know, we are also asking, making asks at the different other levels. But Angela, you put together in your presentation some really solid asks. And I was just assuming
and they're
that those
in there.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, you have asks that are focused on federal.
More generally.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's like the more specific you are, and I know that you put in some really specific, especially in the federal level. So it'd be good to have that for
Okay.
the feds.
That's good feedback. I can do that.
Yeah,
I can
I think
create-
the more specific you are, the better.
Okay.
Sorry for my voice. I have I don't know what's going on with me. I just don't know.
They sound okay.
Okay, thank you. And Angela, one question for you is, I don't know if you had a chance to pull the different parties' positions on kind of Ontario's energy future.
Well, I did put that in the fact sheet at the end, and I just
Sorry.
mentioned,
We have a
like
look at it.
basically like all I really said is I'm addressing gas. The Liberals, NDP, and Green Party of Ontario have all said that we should phase out gas power virtually
Perfect.
100% by 2030.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay.
But I think this is it here. Make an issue in your caucus. Note that GPO, GPC, and Ontario has all given support. The GPO also supports lifting the moratorium. Is it only the GPO that's supporting that one?
Well, we just released that last week, and the GPO sent out a press release and sent something out to all their members in support of it. So we haven't approached the other parties. We're sending them packages this week, and Joyce, you're helping me with that. But so we hope to get the other parties. But I should just say that while the NDP and the Liberals also supported our call for a gas power phase out by 2030, they haven't really campaigned on it. Like the Green Party has really campaigned on it. They just sent something out this week, which was really good.
Oh, good.
Never seen anything from the Liberals or NDP criticizing the provincial government for ramping up gas. However, Tabbins has brought it up in the House of Commons, but none of the Liberals have brought it up or the provincial legislature.
Sure.
The Liberals
Okay.
have never brought it up. So, you know, they've given us that policy support, but they're not campaigning on it.
Okay, thank you.
Stiles or Andrea Horvath has never spoke out against the gas ramp up.
Okay, that's really good context. Thank you.
Yeah, we're asking them to talk to their party leaders and their caucus because we're not hearing enough.
Okay, that's good
Yeah.
context. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, Lynn's here. So I'll leave it to all of you to organize your demo role play.
Thanks
And
for
so
your
we can-
help, Ray.
Thanks.
Sure.
Liz.
Yeah, thanks, Ray, and congratulations on your letter.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, they edited quite a bit, but I think the main points are there. So
I didn't see it, so I hope somebody will share it. But anyways,
yeah,
Yeah.
It's shared.
It
You
was
got
my
it in your
first-
email.
my
Okay.
first letter to the Globe and Mail. I've had 5 to the Toronto Star and 4 have been published. So
Good.
Wow.
That's a good track. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thanks.
That's good.
Okay, I'll leave you to your role play.
Okay, great.
thank you. Can I share my screen? No. Ray,
Oh,
no, I can't share my screen.
Ray
All
has.
right.
Oh,
I made you a co-host. You should
Okay,
you should be able to do everything now.
Okay,
Okay.
I should be able to do everything. All right, good. Just 1 second here while I make sure it's up on my screen. Oh, Morty.
we can only see the bottom half of your face, Lynn.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that's better.
It's
Not in-
Kilroy.
okay, so I'm just going to share. Oh, there we go. All right, so I did create this doc and I did share it to everybody, and it's not like everything that I might have hoped, but I think it will do to get us through, at least started. So I thought at the beginning of our session tonight, I'll just explain purpose of the training, you know, a little bit about the campaign, why we're doing it, not the stuff that Angela's going to do, but just like why OCEC is doing it. Then I'm going to say that we'll cover these things: how to get a meeting, how we're connecting people in the same ridings, sending requests for meetings, setting up a pre-meeting to plan, setting the agenda for the meeting, the leave behinds, keep us informed so we know the planning is underway, and how to get support for your meetings. So I'm going to tell people that at the beginning so that they can expect to get that information. I would like people to have Cheryl's slides for reference from the April 5th, so that Val could probably be given, if you're okay to do that, as a doc link when we're giving our part of the presentation. Okay, so then we have rules in the meeting as we're giving to them. This is from your slide, Cheryl, from
Sure, perfect, thank you.
and I just added a few little notes actually to it,
Yeah.
but basically that's it. So right now, if we're planning, if we're going to demonstrate how we're doing a lobby meeting, we could demonstrate how we choose a lobby lead and how we assign the tasks for the meeting.
Yep,
So you hear actually the role play instructions. Identify the lobby lead, who you are planning to lobby. So that is which party. Just put that in. For example, right? So NDP, Liberal, or Conservative. Lobby lead is then going to facilitate assignment of roles in the team's meeting plan. To come up with 2 or 3 questions for the politician and decide on your ask, which will come from the, I didn't try to recreate that here because that's going to be on there. The materials that I think that Angela and Joyce prepared. Make sure everyone has a role and participates, role play, debrief with your coach, debrief in the large group. So that is what I put together. I'm sorry, it's probably not really enough, but it's what I've got. So, so if we're going to role play the meeting, we should identify the lobby lead. Cheryl, you want to be the lobby lead?
sure, who, are you going to be the person that we're lobbying?
Oh yeah, we need a role player.
Politician.
You need the
Kathy,
politician.
Kathy Litwell, would you like to play a politician?
I would. What kind of politician do you want me to be? Do you want me to be grumpy or compliant?
If it's Liberal or NDP, I think you're compliant. But I was wondering, like, some of the things that, because as Angela had pointed out, their parties are on board, but they haven't been vocal about it. And I'm just wondering, like, because you're dealing with individuals and a part of this is educational, there is that assumption out there in the world that so-called natural gas is a transition fuel. So, not to be a little bit nonplussed about, well, I'm not too worried about it because, it's just to transition us to renewable energy in some distant future. That might be, a something that, you can throw up. I mean, the other thing is just to go on about how terrible the Ford government is, and it'll be impossible to get anything through in all the time that he.
They may say, well, we just don't think the public is ready for this. I mean, people need gas. Everybody has gas in their houses. So how are we going to come out against gas?
Good one. Good one.
That's why they haven't done anything, but it could be. But if they do, so why don't you be a Liberal? Because I think it will be either Liberals or NDP that we will primarily be having these meetings with. Conservatives are not going to, they're going to avoid the meetings. It's always hard to get a meeting with the Conservatives, so it's not necessarily impossible, but it's unlikely. That would, yeah.
Okay, I'll be a Liberal that doesn't have anything to do with energy or climate policies.
Yeah.
Okay. And so in our group, we'll be able to educate you a little bit using the materials that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cheryl, get us organized. And
all right. Okay, so before, and then just as a reminder to everybody, oh my God, my voice is driving me crazy. Just a reminder that we want to make sure that the folks who come in feel really confident by the time they leave, that we leave them in a better place than when they came in. So it's really being gentle with them, being encouraging, so that when we do that role play, just a kind of a friendly reminder. So Lynn, when we do the role play, do you want to demonstrate how we will organize ourselves? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Who's going to be meeting?
Yeah. So in our little team,
yeah,
why don't we have I can't see everybody, but I think we can't have Ray or Val. I think they're busy. Carolyn, do you want to be in the meeting? Carolyn, Angela, Joyce, and me. Is that too many, or that's probably just about right for
that's
the
good.
number that we have?
Okay,
Yeah?
great. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll launch into it, and sorry, maybe when we get into this, we can put in our name. What do you think of this idea? We rename ourselves. We kind of go,
With our role,
yeah.
you mean-
Or Ray could basically just pin us.
oh, so they'll see us.
Exactly.
Okay. But do you,
Can we put in the chat the steps within this meeting?
yeah,
We could, but we could also, if Lynn has this up, I can follow it.
this is basically the roles in the meeting, essentially, right? The lobby lead will facilitate some kind of quick introduction. Someone will appreciate this person, so we better make up something about this hypothetical liberal person.
Yeah.
Someone will take on the role of timekeeper, so they'll then check how much time do we have for the meeting. We'll have a note taker, which doesn't need to say a whole lot else. But in terms of the discussion, we need to decide kind of what I put down below, the questions that we're going to ask the person and the asks. I didn't put them here, so asker or askers, I'm going to put an S
So
after that.
I think that when we send people off to do a role play, it would be helpful for them to have a checklist, like 1, assign roles, 2, go to the meeting. Within the meeting, these are the 4 things you need to do. Introduce yourselves, appreciate the politician, ask a question, take a photo, leave behind, you know, whatever it is, like that should be in the chat.
All right, so I can take this and I can just rearrange that in the chat. I could just practice doing that right now so that it's in that form that you're talking about.
So that would be good because you, the group, how many, will it be 4 or 5 per group?
Well, it depends how many actually show up and how many stay. We have 46 at least signed up
Oh my
now.
word, 46. Wow.
That's amazing.
Usually only half of those come. So we'll have to just see.
Right, but even if we say 2 team members who do the following things: timekeeper, appreciator, note taker. Whatever.
Yeah, the roles are there. What's missing is what you're saying, the kind of steps, just like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just having trouble with my screen. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. Sorry. There we go.
They'll also want the, like the person who's doing the asking will probably want the asks, right?
Yeah, but didn't you guys prepare that? And I'm afraid I didn't.
We
look
did,
at
but how do we make it available to people, to the people in their breakout rooms?
Should have put it in a doc. It should be in a doc, a Google Doc, and then people can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can put it in the shared links, or if you copy it into the Zoom chat, Val can put it into the shared links document. And then what happens, you're going to have to take that text and put it into your breakout room. Okay, because the text only appears in the room that you're in. So if somebody puts the text into the main room chat, then everybody will see it. But once you move into the breakout rooms, your text will disappear.
Right.
You only see whatever text you have there.
Yeah. That's good to know. So, yeah, I think the best way to share that leave behind is through Google Docs that you just share with the folks. Because
So
it's
I'll
very
have to
long.
move that. I'll move Angela, your document into, I'll try to move it into a Google Doc right now.
Okay.
Okay, there's a shared document for that purpose. Let me just find it quickly, and I'll put the link in the chat. If you copy the text into that document, all of you should have access to it. But once you copy it into the main room Zoom chat, you can just copy it yourself, and before you go into the breakout room, copy it and then bring it with you, and then just re-chat it in your breakout room.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm the right one to do this because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Here's the document here. If someone can, is that Angela's or is that mine? That might not be the right one. Hang on. We need Angela's. Angela's is here. Okay. Can someone take that and move it into the Google Doc as Ray's suggesting? I'm not quite sure how to do that.
I think I'm trying that. You mean what Angela's put in already up above?
Yeah, that I've got it up. Am I screen sharing right now? No, I'm not.
You're screen sharing, but we can't copy it unless you put the text in the chat.
So what I put,
Okay.
Joyce, was I just put the asks, Joyce, so that's an abridged form, but the entire fact sheet is longer, right?
So the asks are where then?
There, the
bottom?
end, what politicians can do.
Okay. So I'll put that
On
in.
the next page as well.
Okay. Okay, and then we'll put that in the chat and it can be moved.
I already did that. That's in the chat. Oops, you missed the last line.
Okay, sorry. Yep.
It's already in the chat, Joyce.
Okay, do you need to add
Yeah.
the last line?
The asks are in the choice, but the whole document is not.
Do you need to add the last line though?
No, I've added everything. The asks are all in the chat already, Joyce.
Oh, okay.
What's not been added to the Google Doc or to the chat is the entire document.
Right, which we don't need. We only want the asks.
I think so. I think we just want the asks for this conversation tonight, but we will send the final doc to everybody who registers once I've had feedback from Lynn and Cheryl and anybody else.
And you're going to, in your presentation, you're going to go through a lot of the background information, which is the rest of the stuff that's on that fact sheet.
And I can also send those slides, like create a link for the slides for the follow-up email.
Lynn, that's a document that you shared. Is that what you're going to share when we present on the roles and
yes, that's what I was thinking.
Perfect.
We could.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we proceed? So we have Carolyn, we have Angela, we have Lynn, and Joyce. They're in our meeting. Okay, so let's begin. I am the lead. Okay, so we are going to be meeting with Kathy LaCroix, who is with the Liberal Party. We know that she does not really have a portfolio on the environment or energy, but this is a great opportunity to educate her on the issues. So we are preparing for the meeting. I am the lead, and I'd like to assign a few roles. First of all, we need a note taker. Who's willing to be the note taker?
I'll take notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. That's great. That's such an important role to play. So I really appreciate you doing that. And now we need a timekeeper, somebody who can ask how much time we have with Kathy and who can give the 5-minute warning.
I can do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joyce. I appreciate that. Okay, who is going to deliver the ask? Lynn, Carolyn? Lynn, did you want to do that?
Come on, they're all in the chat, guys.
What's that?
All right, like, oh, Lynn, if you don't want to do it, I guess I'll do it just because.
Please do it. That'd be great.
All right, I'll present an imperfect example just to make everyone feel more confident. That would be my gift.
I'm an imperfect politician, so it'll be fine.
Very good. We can.
Okay, or I mean, if you want, I'm happy to do the ask as well. So if
No, make her do it. No, you do it. You do it.
Carolyn, you do it. Carolyn, you do it, and I can do an open end. Now, here's the thing. I'm backing up. I'm backing up for a sec. Here's the thing. We only have about what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Now
quick.
we've got half an hour.
No. When for this little bit when we role play.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
According to the program.
Because it would be really. Sorry, that right?
10 minutes according to the schedule.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for the clarification. So we have 10 minutes. I'm going to say that when we launch into the meeting with Kathy, we're going to assume that we've already introduced ourselves, et cetera, et cetera. Do we want to give an example of an open-ended question?
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea. My question, so we come into the meeting, we say, we introduce ourselves, we say, how much time do you have? Then then we say, did you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, do we start with education and then ask an open-ended question,
So normally what we do, and I can do this, I can say, thank you very much for meeting us. We appreciate your time here. We know that you have only 10 minutes. I would say, we are here to talk about the gas plants, as you know. We are concerned and we want to make sure that they are, what's the word, phased out by 2030. Is that the right? Sorry, I'm not looking at the notes. Is that it or no? Is it earlier?
There's
Yeah.
other asks. There's at least 3 asks, right?
Yes. Yeah. But we want, basically, we want an end game too. So I can give an overview. We want an end game and we want to transition to renewable energy. We have a few asks that we want to present to you, but before we do so, we just want to ask you just your position on Ontario's energy future.
Okay, but I would never use the word position. I'm just going to argue because people get fixed about their position. But what are your thoughts?
Thank you.
about
Thank you,
Ontario?
Lynn. And so I say, what are your thoughts on Ontario's energy future? And then Kathy can say something to the effect of perhaps we're going to need natural gas. And then that would elicit a response.
Okay,
Have we done education? Have we said, are you aware that the plans are that the government is going to do blah, blah, blah? Because you need that education piece first.
I think
she's establishing what I know to start with, because you don't want to, yeah.
Okay.
We're just going to establish what she knows, and then we can get into.
Hey, can I try a response? If she says something like that, I could say,
Yeah.
okay, so it sounds like, you're thinking that a lot of people are using natural gas. And as far as you're aware, we'll need to continue to use that. And we're here today because we have a bit of a different perspective about gas. First of all, it is a fossil fuel. Were you aware of that? It's a fossil fuel. And that we're supposed to be phasing out our fossil fuels urgently, according to what the scientists are telling us on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Is that something you're familiar with, Ms. Lacroix?
Well, it's a cleaner fuel than what it's replacing. So it's just a transition, and we are going to need it. I think it's optimistic to say that we're going to stop using fossil fuels right away.
Okay, well, there is a concern in that we've got to cut our emissions in half by 2030. And instead of cutting emissions, this is actually increasing emissions 7 times of what it was. You know that we did phase coal off the grid. That's a fossil fuel. And we, unfortunately, this government has not, it canceled over 750 renewable energy projects and has not reversed the moratorium on offshore wind. Therefore, we're not developing renewable, which actually would be clean sources of energy for our grid. So what we're looking for is that you would support the development of clean, renewable energy sources. So to start with, it's important to recognize that they're talking about using gas, not just for peak power, but for a substantial portion of power on the grid up until 2040. And we can't do that if we really get off of fossil fuels. That's the end. Sorry, that was a bit long. Sorry. But do you understand what we're saying there, Ms. Lacroix, about that?
I understand that you think and believe that we must get off fossil fuels, but I'm not. I just don't see the schedule, the timing of this happening. And natural gas is cleaner than what it's replacing. So that's at least a step in the right direction.
Okay, can I step in then even though I'm just a timekeeper?
You could absolutely step in, just because you're
Okay.
Absolutely, jump right in.
Okay, well, I'm aware of the fact that, in fact, during a transition period, we can use for a very inexpensive cost, we can use hydro from Quebec. We can buy hydro from Quebec. And that is a really good transition. We can also use such means as energy conservation and planning the timing of electricity. What do they call that when you schedule times?
Peak time, peak.
Yeah, these are yours.
Time of use.
Time of use, that's right. So these are our big three points in terms of we need it right away and blah, blah, blah. Well, right away we can get Hydro-Quebec, right? We can buy it from Hydro-Quebec. There's very little lag time there. And the time of use can be put into effect almost immediately. And in conservation, I'm not sure exactly what the details are on conservation, but
Okay. Can I just, like, this is an aside to our group,
Yeah.
not role play, but just an aside, is that this politician doesn't seem to has bought the line that gas is cleaner than
Said it 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah.
but it's not true. So how do we address that? Because that is a misinformation piece.
And everybody, so many people think it. It's
Yeah.
natural.
May I step in?
Yeah.
One way to approach it is to say, I understand your concern. We clearly want to ensure that there is a stable energy supply in Ontario, and we want to make sure that it's affordable too. So we appreciate what you're saying, and we understand your concern. We're concerned about that too. We are concerned about the future of gas, given the global climate right now. The world is rapidly transitioning to renewable energy. Renewable energy is becoming the most affordable source of energy, and it's something that we can implement and deploy quickly. So something, along those lines, really go to speak to her concerns, understand what her concerns are, and speak to them first, and then we can have a conversation, because as you see, and Kathy, you're brilliant. Bravo. She was keeping to her because she felt like she wasn't being heard. Am I correct, Kathy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear her. That's the first thing we do. Hear her and acknowledge where she's coming from, and
Okay.
start that conversation from there.
You
There's
know,
not
and I
really
think
any point in there's not really any point in stepping ahead with things until you've addressed my concerns. Like, especially if you ask me what my concerns are.
it makes
Yeah.
me think we should have something about how dirty fossil gas actually is. I'm not sure if that's in the other documents that we have.
Fact
If we're going to run into that, then we should be ready for that.
Yep.
Because with the methane leakage, it's like many people will say, it's as dirty as coal. But unless our politicians understand that, they may buy this line that it's clean. So we probably need information to counter that. But we also first need to hear that the person is looking for cleaner sources of energy, right? That's the positive in there.
Exactly. Yes.
What you said about renewables was really good, Cheryl, that the whole world is moving to renewables, and we're kind of and industry is looking for Ontario to have a clean electricity grid, and gas on the grid is not considered clean. Like, we just need some kind of reference for that statement, I guess.
Right.
Anyway, I think that was a pretty good demo, but it took us about 20 minutes.
Okay, so can I just we've given the information, we've sort of gone back and forth with the politician, and now we need to
Exactly.
we need
Exactly.
to finish up the meeting.
Thank you, Carolyn. So yes. And it's great that Joyce, you're the timekeeper, because you can let me know. and you're the one, Joyce, to go, you know what? Or I can even, like, we really need to start to talk about our ask, because we didn't even get into that, and we need Carolyn to practice that. So so we get into the ask.
So pretend that I've agreed with you a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Right.
it's like, I think it's really, I like this idea of Kathy, you providing what you said, I think it's clean, I think it's transitional, whatever it is. We need an example of somebody going to her and go, oh, I understand. And, we understand your concern. We want to make sure it's clean, hear her and then move her along. We do have to get in with the ask right away. and I might have to step in at some point. My spidey sense, Joyce, you can give me a nudge as well, where I introduce Carolyn to give the asks. And then we'll do next steps. Like, is there anything, please have a review. When is a good time to follow up with you? And then thank you. And if we can get our picture taken.
Is it a good idea as well because you've given them a lot of information, we do have the leave behind, to say that you'd be willing to communicate with them further on by email, or would you be interested in receiving more information?
Great question, Joyce. Great question.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Shall we say, okay, Kathy, we've explained things to you. And then I can say, I really want to respect your time. I know that you do have a hard deadline. So I just want to introduce Carolyn to you, who can present our asks.
Right, and now Carolyn's going to try and find the asks. Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy, for meeting with us. I do appreciate it. I just, appreciating your time, I just want to deliver the asks that we are requesting from you. So these are them. Just trying to find them.
At the bottom of that link.
Okay. So number one, we are asking you to advocate that gas power is phased out by 2030, and that there is a moratorium on new gas plant construction and expansion. And if these issues are ever brought up, that you are vocal in opposing them. Number two, that you advocate within your political counterparts for strong federal clean energy regulations, because those are possibly the most impactful. Number three, we're asking that you make it an issue in your caucus and ask your party leader to speak out. The GPO, the GPC, the ONDP, and Ontario Liberals have all given their support.
I think we should skip that. Like, I need to condense it a little bit.
Condense it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll condense it for the
You
meeting.
could say the opposition parties.
The opposition parties, okay. Okay, so the opposition parties have all given support for virtual gas power phase out by 2030. So, you have support there. And number four, that you support renewable energy and alternatives to fossil gas, like water, wind, solar conservation. These have offshore in the Great Lakes. These have been tried elsewhere in the world. Renewables are an affordable, realistic alternative, and we're asking you to promote those.
Wonderful. Well, we can also have, there's going to be we'll have to figure out, because I think with the fact sheet provides, more details that you could provide them as well. So it's just any kind of resources like that we can provide them. I know that, Angela, you have some amazing resources as well. So, if people can, provide that, I just think they're wonderful visuals that kind of really tell the story. So that's something that could be, offered too. Do you have any questions, Kathy?
I do. For the asks, are we asking all four things? Are we asking one big thing and then the person says no and you go on to, well, maybe you'll do this?
Right.
Like that's what we used to do.
We do. I think with this, with CCL, we come in with a big leave behind and we do pick, but sometimes we have a lot of asks. Sometimes too much, many asks. I think that I think in this
Is
case,
manageable?
definitely what. Yeah, I think so. So. So Carolyn has just provided the ask. Kathy, do you have any questions?
Well, as a politician,
Yeah.
As you know, I'm minister of parties and balloons, so I don't, it's not really my thing, but I can speak to other people in the caucus about it. It's not going to be something that I strongly take forward. It's something that I'll tell my caucus colleagues about and expect them to take it forward.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. That means a lot to us. And we are wrapping up. We know we and Joyce, you might want to say, hey, we are at time.
Yes. we've taken up a lot of Kathy's time. We're already 2 minutes over time.
And I'm so sorry, I do have to go.
We really appreciate it. We normally would take a photo, but we understand you have to go. We will be in touch with any additional information, and please be in touch with us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay, so what we want to do as well, at the top, what I can do is say hello, blah, blah, blah. I'll let everybody know that we're going to bypass like introductions, and I'm going to leave space for Joyce, so you can ask how much time do we have? And then Kathy will say 10 minutes.
There's somebody who wants to be admitted. Jay Scott.
Let's probably wait. He's very early. What a keener. What an amazing keener.
No, it's a Climate Fest member, so we can wait until the 6:50 official start or official let in, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll just wait.
Yeah, don't worry about, you shouldn't worry about any of that. Val and I will look after that.
Great.
One thing as well, like that, it's tight. The time is tight. And I didn't know if we wanted to open up to any questions, if anybody had any. And, you know, typically what we would do as well is ask Kathy, the actual Kathy, what her feedback was on all of that. But we probably don't have time for that, which is fine. I don't know. Do we have time for folks to ask questions about what they saw?
Did I get some open-ended questions? I can't remember.
We provided the kind of an open-ended question of, what do you think? What is your, it was my question of, what's your thoughts of Ontario's energy future? As opposed to position.
For the purposes of a role play, that has to be like 10 minutes. It's unrealistic. I mean, it's for a demonstration. It's unrealistically short, but we're just trying to put it out there. It's okay to be very succinct, basically supportive, pop up a couple of questions that are not, pretty predictable, and then have a pretty succinct answer to them.
Yeah, I mean, I do. And I just want to say, I do like what Kathy had. I do like an example of what Kathy said in terms of, a position that she might have on this, and an example of us not pushing back, but, going to where she is.
Yes.
Nice. It was great.
I think that's really important.
Very.
Yeah. So who is going to be the one to respond to Kathy? Linda, do you want to, as you did before?
Okay, so I'm sorry, somebody emailed me, so I had to deal with that. So I'm going to thank her. Is that right? For the end?
No. We're talking about that moment when I ask Kathy an open-ended question and she provides her response. And instead of, we want to show an example of, hearing her concerns.
Yep.
Okay.
I can do that.
Well, natural gas is cleaner, so it's a pretty good transition strategy.
Okay, so you're concerned that we should be using cleaner electricity than we have been, and it's your understanding that natural gas, which is actually a fossil fuel, is cleaner. However, you may be not aware that the increase in dependence on so-called natural gas, which is actually a fossil fuel, so it can be called fossil gas, is not clean as renewables would be. So are you aware that renewables would be an option for Ontario, renewable energy?
Yeah, I understand that, but it's going to take a while to get it, obviously, to get everything set up across the province. So in the meantime, we can use this cleaner option.
Really, the reason why we're having
from my perspective, if you say how much worse it is than carbon dioxide, that gives you like a yardstick. Just like if someone tells me it's dirtier.
Do we know? I mean, we know that if there's methane leaks, it's really dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the danger of methane leaks is high, presumably.
Yeah.
But if you say something like, is it 14, I think? Anyway, whatever the ratio or whatever the factor is, you can say like 10 to 20 times dirtier than carbon dioxide. And I'm like, what?
I think, yeah, I think what we want to do is find a way to answer Kathy without her feeling like she needs to kind of come back, right? It needs to be like a really kind of something that kind of really addresses that concern, but also, yes, talks about, it's actually dirtier because of the methane.
Yeah, it is often talked about as a transition fuel.
Yeah.
However, we are really out of time for this transitioning. And also it has really been found that methane is even more polluting than carbon dioxide, like many, many times, in terms of its impact as a greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
And that may not be,
Oh, I
but
didn't
we
know
can follow
that.
up. Yeah, we can follow up with a bit more information on that so that you know why and what we're looking
That's
for.
great. That's great, Lynn. Yeah, something like we could provide more information to you, I think might kind of wrap that up.
Do we have a link for that more information? I know that that's been provided, but like, can we just pop it in the chat right now?
Well,
So
we
that
can. Yes, that's a good point. And if we can find that, but while we're doing this, that's kind of an example of, we will follow up with you. It's a great example of, or a great opportunity to be in touch with them after the fact, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look on the OCEC website because I think it might be on that Beyond Gas link there. I think that there were, Millie prepared some fact sheets that are on there. So I'm just going to look for that.
But
Yeah,
Also-
I'm not, as a politician, or especially I'm in charge of balloons, I'm not that concerned about the number. If you tell me it's a lot more,
Right.
then that's something that would stick with me.
Yeah, and we can focus. This is about educating Kathy. That's all what this is about, but doing it in a really respectful way. Because most people don't know. Ray, you're trying to jump in and
Me too.
let's
Me too.
say, according
Oh,
to
I
Environmental
know.
Defense, it's 80 times more. I put the link in the chat.
How much time?
80 times more.
80?
80 times more potent.
80.
I will add that to the fact sheet.
Shit, I thought it
Thank
was
you.
18.
So
So
I
information that would be useful for the purposes of the role play, so that people leave feeling more empowered, it would be helpful to have a checklist of what the 5 things that should be covered in this meeting, and some basic information that should be conveyed to the politician, and right there available so that
It's important though what Cheryl says. Like it's good to have a strategy to back out of something where you don't have the information,
Yeah.
and that helps you get another meeting. And that's the goal of your meeting, is to get another meeting.
So I
it's
have to interrupt as a tech person. I'm responsible for putting the links into the chat. And at this point, the document I'm working from has numerous things. Like, Carolyn, you've been working on something in there. Is that what you want to go to the groups before? Because we had a sort of simpler version that you'll see below if you look at the document, and I just want to know which one I'm supposed to put in.
oh, okay. If there's a simpler version, we can
Well, I don't know if it's better. It's just,
Val, maybe just screen share it, but do it quickly.
oh God. Okay. Screen share. How do I do that?
I mean, there's also the issue that he's planning to build peaker plants that are going to be obsolete in 2 years, and the Quebec Energy Solution, which is it's there, it's already there.
So this is the document that I'm going to be working from to put things in. And so Carolyn's been working away on agenda for pre-meeting here, meeting with politician. And then let me just finish. And then down here, there's the asks, and I've put in Angela's revision. So that's the asks. And it's down here that there's something similar to what you have, Carolyn, that I think Lynn put together. So
Val, thank you for raising this. Could you scroll up to see that out of the agenda? Because I think that's probably better, the one above.
Yeah, so there's the agenda for the meeting.
Okay, great. And then can you just scroll down just a little bit? So, okay, we are, yeah. Okay.
So it's much more detailed because Carolyn was working on that as you guys were going through.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really good.
But okay. So I am putting both the agenda for the meeting and the meeting with the politician in the chat before we go into the breakout groups.
Lovely.
And then people can cut and paste it from the
Okay.
chat and
Yeah.
put it in their own chat. Is that right, Ray? In the breakout groups?
Yeah, as long as they copy it in the main room Zoom chat. So I'm hoping everybody knows how to copy chat, right? Because once you copy it, then you go into your breakout room and then you paste it into the Zoom chat in the breakout room.
Okay.
I copied it with a pen.
Straightforward.
Okay.
No, with your mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, and then lastly, so I'll take out this one here, the
Otherwise it'll
agenda
get
for the
confusing.
meeting,
Yeah,
because
it gets
we don't need
confusing.
that. But then Lynn has given me this one. Sorry, it's on 2 pages here. I'll just so it's a Google Doc, and this is how to organize it beforehand. So when would you like that in, Lynn? Sorry,
Okay, so
happened to it.
basically not using a lot of what I did on the Google Doc. Got a different Google Doc now? Or I'm lost.
No, this is Lynn, this is organizing our lobby meetings. This is nobody's talked about this yet, as far as I can tell. Right? It's got Cheryl's presentation and
I was gonna start, in the intro.
Yeah.
is Part of what I'm telling people, this is what we're preparing you for tonight. You'll be ready to do all of this. You'll understand how this is gonna happen.
so you'd like me to put this organizing our lobby meetings in the
It's part
chat while you're speaking?
Sure,
Okay. Great. Thanks. It's good to
but
got it.
I'm a bit lost, I have to say, around the whole Google Doc for presentation, but we'll see.
Oh, you don't have to worry about it because Val will look after pasting it into the chat, but you need to be able to pick up it from the main room Zoom chat and put it into the breakout room. That's the only thing that you're going to have to be able to do.
We'll have to instruct people to do that. Everybody who's I guess the
No,
coordinator.
the coaches need to do
Coach.
that.
The
Yeah.
coach, exactly.
Coach needs to do that. Okay, so we're 6:54. We've got 5 people in the waiting room right now. So I don't know when you want us to open up the room, but it's only 5 minutes to 7 at this point.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stop sharing my thing, but just so you know, Lynn, it's this agenda for the pre-meeting and meeting with politician that you'll grab before you go into your breakout group.
Thank you. Thanks, Val.
I don't think we've reviewed who are the coaches and who are playing the politicians in our breakout. So it'd be really good to just review that and set that.
Thank you.
I'm a coach, as far as I know. I'm a coach.
I'm a coach.
I'm a coach.
I'm a politician.
And
You
I
want to
guess
put, if you can put coach in front of your name, that would really help.
I don't know how to do that. How do I do that?
So you see your box of your
do it.
image beside
do
the
it
me.
for you.
Okay, thank you.
Ray's going to do it. Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
who else is the coach?
Carolyn and Val.
I can do mine.
Okay.
Thanks. Never done that.
Val, did you do it, Val?
I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay. And who else is a coach? There's a fourth coach, right? I see Carolyn, Joyce, and
Not sure. There's Angela.
Yeah, I'm a
It
politician.
can be whatever.
But I thought that Val was going to be a coach because she in the
yeah, she's
breakout.
a coach now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still have a fourth coach. You want four breakout rooms, but what I was saying in the chat is that you don't have enough politicians.
No, we had
We have-
4 politicians.
Angela's going to be politician, Kathy, myself, and Lynn.
And that-
myself and Lynn. Okay, then you don't have enough coaches then.
Well, we had enough coaches on Sunday night, so what happened to them?
4, 5, 6.
What happened
Let's
to-
assume we'll only need 3.
We don't need 4 rooms, 4
Yeah.
groups.
Yeah, let's do 3.
I thought might be the result.
That's
Okay.
That's at least 10 people in each group, but if you're okay with that, like they
Depends
won't.
Oh,
on
there's
how many-
only 12 people in the
There's
room.
12 people right now, and I better start letting them in because otherwise they're gonna start leaving.
We'll figure out if it's going to be 3 or 4, and if one person's just the
Let's
coach,
do
they can be
3.
that. If one person's just the role player, they can be the coach too.
People
Nice.
don't mind watching other people for the role play. We'll have enough.
Okay, I'm gonna start letting them in. They can turn
Awesome.
their video on and they can actually chat and they can unmute as well. So that's how we arranged it because it's a workshop. But if there's any problems, then I will kick the person out, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, they're all coming in now. So Lynn, you are the MC, I guess
Thank
the welcoming
you.
MC.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ray.
Okay,
Thank
good
you,
luck,
Val. Thank you,
Good luck,
everybody.
everybody. Don't thank us yet. Wait till it's over.
Ray, do you want me to help let people in?
Yeah, you can do the mid all. I'm gonna go dark and mute.
Okay.
I do think 3 is going to be enough.
Okay, we'll do 3. That's fine.
Okay, Lynn, you can do the welcoming, okay, at least.
Okay.
Unless anybody wants to do that, it's fine.
I
too.
don't see anybody in here yet, though. They're all in the waiting room still.
It's
I-
15.
They're
Yeah.
coming in now.
Great.
Well, there's
Hello.
25 participants so far, 25. I believe.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome in. Hi, everyone. I'm Lynn Adamson. I'm co-chair of Ontario Climate Emergency Campaign and Climate Fest, and we're welcoming you to the training tonight. And we will be starting in just a minute or two when we've had a chance to admit people who are joining us for the evening. So please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. We won't have time to go around the whole circle. So please put your name, perhaps which territory you are on, and in the chat. And we'll look forward to starting in just a moment when we get to.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Karen. Yeah, introduce yourselves in the chat, please. And I will introduce Valerie, some of our presenters tonight. So I'm here tonight, as I said, for Ontario Climate Emergency Campaign. And I'd like to introduce Cheryl McNamara, who's also here with Citizens Climate Lobby to help give us some tips tonight. And Carolyn Holding, who is here as a coach tonight. Joyce Hall is a coach tonight. Mary Blake Rose, you're joining us to help with the coaching tonight. Thank you. And maybe you can put coach in front of your name, Mary Blake. That will help us put you in the right place. Kathy Lacroix is here from Citizens Climate Lobby. Mary Blake is from Citizens Climate Lobby as well to help us with the training tonight. So I will be going over the agenda in just a few minutes, but right now I'd like to ask Carolyn Holding to provide a land acknowledgement to start our evening off. Over to you, Carolyn.
I'd like to acknowledge that I live and work in the traditional unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, which includes the Three Fires Confederacy and the Haudenosaunee and Wendat nations. I acknowledge that they and other First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples are the first and rightful inhabitants of the lands and waters that are now called Tiny Ontario, which is where I'm situated. I'm a settler on this land, which means that I benefit from ongoing colonization. It is our responsibility as settlers to respond to calls for truth and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. I encourage you to consider meaningful actions that you can undertake to do so, as I will as well.
Thank you, Carolyn. And thank you to the whole team tonight, including our tech team. So that is Ray and Val. And if you have any questions or concerns as we go through, you can address them to our tech team in the chat. If you have any questions as we go through, you can address those in the chat as well. And I'm just going to start by going over some expectations that you might have for the workshop tonight that we're going to try and meet for you tonight. And let's just see. Yes, so we're going to cover how to get a meeting, because this is part of our Beyond Gas lobby campaign. So we're here tonight to learn about how to get a meeting with your politicians. This could be at any of the levels, which could be the provincial, federal, or municipal level. Tonight, we're going to focus a lot on the provincial level. So we're going to be trying to get up MPP meetings, and we're going to kind of look at that tonight. But there's something for each level of politician to do, and we will talk a bit about how we can reach out at the different levels. So we're going to connect people who live in the same ridings. So once you have filled in the sign up link, and Carolyn, I wonder if you've got that sign up link that you could put in the chat, just to make sure that we have your name and riding information, because that's how we're going to connect you. Once you're all connected, you could send a request for the meeting to a politician. You're going to learn tonight about how to set up a pre-meeting to plan your agenda for that meeting. And you're going to get the material that's needed for a leave behind, which is the asks that we have for the politician and the background information that they may need to know. Please keep in touch with our organizing committee at the Ontario Climate Emergency Campaign, so we know that you have made an effort to set up a meeting. We're very interested in your efforts, whether or not the politician responds to you and sets up a meeting or not. We want to know that you're making the effort, you're outreaching, because every time we do that, they become aware that there are members who live in their riding, constituents who are concerned about Ontario's energy future, and that is a good thing. They find out about it, and it's also possible to continue to ask them for meetings, even if they don't respond the first time. And they often don't respond the first time, so persistence pays. And also how you can get support for your meeting. We want you to be confident that you can raise the concerns and the asks that you have for the politician. And if it would help you to have some preparation time with one of our core team members, or to have somebody at your meeting who can provide additional information, we will try to support you in that way, because these meetings are really important, and it's important, very important for them to be constituent led, but we want you to have the support you need to feel confident for doing that. So I do believe Val might have the link for the slides from Cheryl's April 5th presentation, which are a really good reference for how we set up these lobby meetings. As a general reference for how we set up the meetings. Tonight, in addition to providing information on the asks, we will be giving you the opportunity to see, we're going to demonstrate how a lobby meeting might go. And then we're going to give you the chance to practice in breakout groups as well for that lobby meeting. So with that introduction, I'm going to leave it at that for the moment, and I'm going to introduce Angela Bischoff, who will give us some of the content that we need to keep in mind when we're going to these lobby meetings. So Angela Bischoff is the director at the Ontario Clean Air Alliance. Sorry, Angela. And I'm going to pass things over to Angela to give presentation now. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn, and everybody else. And yeah, lots of people, 33 people here, fantastic. So many of you saw my original presentation, which I gave in early April when we did our first in this series of meetings. And so this will be a repeat for you, but I'll move through quickly. And if you have seen it, it'll emphasize all the same talking points to make you super familiar. And we had a discussion about the leave behind earlier tonight. I will be revising it and give you more information. If there's questions in the chat, we can add more. We can develop that leave behind to give you more background information. Also, I can share my slides with you. So I'll talk quickly, and then we'll have some Q&A. But really the focus of this presentation is supposed to be about, you know, actually role-playing a meeting. That's why I'm going to talk super quickly.
And
Okay.
you might
Yeah.
point out that there's also the tape or the recording from our last session, so people can see more if they want to, right? They can review it further.
Super
But go
great.
ahead, give us an overview tonight. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so quick overview. So we all know climate change is a big concern. The recent IPCC report, which came out just a few weeks ago, said we need to reduce our greenhouse gas pollution by 50% by 2030. So that means having HALV, having our GHG emissions by 2030. So we really have to move swiftly. The feds and the Ontario, the province, they've committed to emission reductions, but they're not as much as we need to commit to. And also we're not anywhere near, especially in Ontario, we're not anywhere near to achieving those emission reduction commitments. And we're going to talk about Ontario specifically today. So again, the United Nations have said repeatedly, new fossil fuel based electricity generation should not be permitted. That means it's, you know, we've reached our peak. We now need to be phasing out fossil fuels. Full stop. But what's happening in Ontario? When Doug Ford was elected in 2018, canceled renewables, canceled the conservation budget by 60%. And they've put out tenders for 1,500 megawatts of new gas-fired peaking power plants. They're increasing the amount of gas that they burn through the existing peaker plants and other gas plants, which aren't being used to their full capacity. They're increasing that by 700%. They're rebuilding and extending our aging nuclear infrastructure, which is very high cost. This shows the percentage of our electricity that we receive by gas, so fossil fuels. So when Kathleen Wynne left in 2018, actually, so in 2017, her government not only had they phased out coal, but they were also on track to phasing out gas. And so our grid was really low GHG grid. And that was attracting industry. And they did that by ramping up investments in wind and solar. They were making deals with Quebec to import low-cost water power from Quebec. And they had a conservation first policy. So we were reducing demand substantially in this province. In fact, none of us even knew it. And demand in the province had decreased by 10% in the decade prior to her leaving. In 2018, when Doug Ford got elected, he started just ramping up gas at the gas plants. As he ripped up wind turbines and canceled all the renewables and conservation programs, our demand began increasing, and he filled that demand with gas. And so in 2017, 4% of our grid came from fossil fuels, and by 2043, that will be increased to 2027. So while the whole world is moving towards renewables and trying to figure out how to grapple with how to phase out fossil fuels, Ontario is going the opposite direction. Municipalities pushed back, and in the last couple of years, 34 of all, essentially Ontario's largest municipalities all signed resolutions, municipal resolutions saying, we want to return gas plants back to where they were in 2017 and achieve a complete gas phase out by 2030. So municipalities have spoken out, but unfortunately, Doug Ford, with his majority, is sticking with their old plans of gas and nukes, while the rest of the world is moving to a different future of energy. In fact, renewables are taking over globally. The International Energy Agency says 90% of new power supply in the next 5 years will come from renewables. So the whole world is investing. 16 countries and states are already powered by nearly 100% renewable power. That includes Iceland, Norway, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Kenya. And 62 more countries are committed to 100% renewable energy. So this is the direction the world is headed, and we need them to move quickly because we've seen what the IPCC has told us, that we need to reduce emissions by 50% in the next 7 years. The wind and solar industries are just like going gangbusters, and they're producing so much wind and solar that, and the beautiful thing is not only are they producing so many panels and wind turbines because of economies of scale, but the prices come down so dramatically because of economies of scale, and they can be rolled out in 1 year. So the Lazard, which is the world's largest financial investment institution, they say you can roll out large wind and solar projects in 1 year. And, you know, they're investing in these projects. They know this. So, for example, they say nuclear can be rolled out in 10 to 15 years. So in the meantime, as we're building out these plants, and even gas peaker plants are going to take several years, as we build them out, we continue to burn gas instead of moving quickly to a renewable future. This year alone, global green power capital investment is slated to exceed $1 trillion. So like this, if any MP or MPP would ever say, oh, you know, we could never do it, it's a fantasy. They tell me that all the time. It's a fantasy. Well, the world is already doing it, and the private market is already doing it. It doesn't even need, in many instances, it doesn't even need subsidies. The prices are a fraction of, and here we'll look at the prices. So gas, since we're talking about gas tonight, the 2 gray bars, those are gas. So 9.2 cents is what gas will cost us in 2030 when the carbon tax starts kicking in. Like essentially gas is really inexpensive because they don't have to pay their pollution costs. And then peaker plants are 22.7 cents. So Doug Ford is contracting 1,500 megawatts of new peaker plants, which nobody wants, by the way. But it's really, really expensive. And that's just to meet about, 100 hours of the year. So those are only when we have the super spikes in energy demand. We could meet those super spikes with renewable power, with plugging our EVs back into the grid, with buying water power or storage from Quebec. There are other lower cost green energy ways to meet those peak electricity needs. We do not have to build fossil gas peaker plants. And you'll notice the prices to the left of that 9.2 cent gas graph. To the left is wind, water, solar. They're all much lower cost. And these prices, these are different than when I presented in early April, because Lazard, as I mentioned earlier, the largest financial institution, they just put out a new report. So we modified the numbers based on Lazard because that's sort of the most accurate at this point. And wind, water, and solar is coming in much cheaper than even gas, let alone nuclear. So we're also calling for the Ontario Clean Air Alliance is calling for the provincial government to lift the moratorium on offshore wind turbines in the Great Lakes. The provincial government, the Ontario government, hired a consulting agency who did a report on how much wind offshore in the Great Lakes could actually produce Ontario's electricity. And they identified 64 sites, which together could produce all of Ontario's electricity demand. I mean, nobody's suggesting we should shut everything down and put turbines in the Great Lakes, but why not? Like the United States is now have come up with, and they're subsidizing a project in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's going to be 12 kilometers offshore. So we could put them 12 or 15 kilometers offshore of Lake Ontario. They would just be a little blip on the horizon. And environmental groups are supporting this. So we're calling to lift that moratorium, which was put, incidentally, which was, that moratorium was put on by the Dalton McGuinty government because of opposition to an offshore wind project that was proposed for Scarborough. Okay, so there's also, I mentioned that the that the Doug Ford government wants to expand existing plants, sort of ramp up the power at existing plants and build new plants. And we expect that where they're going to want to do this is in gas communities already. And these are 10 gas communities that we expect he might move really quickly on. And that is what happened in Windsor. A project was announced and we just learned about it. We only had 1 week to organize, and then, you know, the municipality voted on it and voted to support it because they're hearing from, you know, the proponents that there's no alternative. And this is, you know, they think that, you know, they're afraid that we would have a lack of electricity without realizing that there's so many options. So if you're interested in, if you live in any of these communities, Environmental Defense is organizing a campaign in all these 10 communities. And if you go to nomoregasplants.ca, that's the Environmental Defense page. They have ways for you to engage in that campaign. And tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, they're organizing a webinar about this campaign, which is targeting these municipalities. So please engage in that campaign if you live in those communities. And we think, you know, we can't rely on Doug Ford to make the right decisions. I mean, we've been lobbying him for 2 years. He's doing what he wants. So we really think the feds have to step in. And the Trudeau government is committed to reducing electricity emissions or emissions from the electricity sector to net zero by 2035. So that essentially means phasing out gas and coal-fired electricity by 2035. And to that end, they are setting up a whole public process and developing some regulations called clean electricity regulations. And within those, and we expect them to come up with their first draft in June. So we're trying to lobby federal politicians and, you know, Ontario politicians to also lobby their federal counterparts to say we really need to include in those clean electricity regs direction to the Ontario government that they cannot be building new gas plants because that's going to blow the federal climate electricity commitments out of the water. So we're lobbying the feds for that. So we need strong federal leadership to develop these clean electricity regs to prohibit the building of new gas plants in Ontario and to require Ontario to go a net zero electricity grid by 2030. Like Ontario is, there are a few provinces that are really dependent on water power. And so their emissions from the electricity sector are already very low, like Manitoba and Quebec. They are like 98% water powered. So, you know, the other 2% would be some wind and then a little bit of gas. But Ontario would be relatively easy, way easier than some of the fossil fuel provinces like Saskatchewan and Alberta or Nova Scotia. It would be easy for us to go back to a net zero electricity grid because we were just 5 years ago, we were at only 4%. So we could go back there and we want the feds to help us give that direction. So we're asking everybody, as you know, to call for meetings with your city councillors, MPPs and MPs and community leaders, say, you know, labor union leaders, etc., business leaders, Chamber of Commerce, to oppose new gas plant proposals in their community, to support strong federal clean electricity regs, and to be supportive of 100% renewable energy future. It's not any good for us to oppose gas plants if we're not also going to support alternatives like renewable power. Very specifically, municipal councillors, maybe we should, like, we're keeping track of what the municipalities are bringing forward, but we know when those resolutions come forward, they're for proposals, it's going to be fast. So in some cases, we'll be asking, or I presume Lana and Environmental Defense is going to be asking these municipal councillors to advance preemptive resolutions opposing any new gas plant proposals, and for those municipal councillors to communicate with their federal and provincial counterparts. Likewise, MPPs, tell the Ford government that you support a gas power phase out. Now, the NDP, the Green Party, and the Liberal parties provincially, they are all supportive of a gas power phase out by 2030, but they're not all campaigning on it. So we really need them to make it an issue in caucus and in the legislature. Get your party leader to speak out. We need Merritt Stiles to talk about this. And then federally, we need MPs to push their caucus. And yeah, for clean electricity regs. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you need. We do have, lots more resources there.
Thank you very much, Angela, for that great overview. And as Angela said, we'll be providing written information for the leave behind for you to feel confident that you've got the content and so forth. But for right now, we're going to turn from the content to the how to do these meetings. And for that, I'm going to invite Cheryl McNamara to go through some of the roles in a meeting and the agenda, setting up an agenda for a meeting with a politician. So over to you, Cheryl, and I'll do a screen share for that doc in case that's helpful.
Okay, great. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Angela, for that informative presentation. So yeah, I will walk through preparing for a meeting, specifically when you're in your group preparing, and also a schedule of how the meeting, or agenda, how the meeting should go. So with the meeting, and this is based on Citizens Climate Lobby's best practices, there's always a meeting lead. This is the person who typically sets up the meeting with a politician, and they're the ones that convene the group together. They find out, hey, I secured a meeting on this sort of day, this day, who can join us? And once you convene that group, you want to do a pre-meeting so that you can prepare for the meeting. And in that meeting, you're going to go over kind of how you're going to run the meeting. You're going to go through the suggested agenda, but you're also going to pick roles. And so there's the lobby lead, who is obviously convening the meeting. That role has been set. But there are a few roles to assign folks. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few roles here, and you probably won't have as many people in the meeting. So some folks will have to double up. We always choose an appreciator. This could be the lobby lead. It could be somebody else. Typically, we like it to be a constituent, something that really comes from the heart, something that they, as a constituent, can really thank the politician for. It may not be something related to the environment. It could be something else that the appreciator sincerely feels. So, and that's just kind of a brief. I really want to appreciate a bill that you may have put forward, or a stance that you took on a particular issue. You want a timekeeper, and this person is important because they're going to help us. It's a way of appreciating respecting the politician for their time. Usually, so what happens is that they make an appreciation, and then the timekeeper will say, well, how much time do we have with you? Typically, it's a half an hour. However, there might be that something came up and they might only have 15 minutes. So that's good to know to adjust your meeting accordingly. And then the timekeeper is the person who is going to obviously keep the time, and then 5 minutes before the end, the allotted end, they will make that announcement, hey, we have 5 minutes. Now the politician might say, thank you, yes, we do need to wrap up, I have something to go to. Or they might say, you know what, I can give you about 10 or 15 minutes. If they like you, like usually they say half an hour, just in case they just want to wrap up the meeting. But if they really like you and they have the time, they might extend it. You want to assign a note keeper. This is somebody who's very important. All the roles are important. This one particularly so, because you need somebody who's really good at keeping notes and who can record well what the politician says. And this is very informative for next steps. There's going to be a discussion, and we usually advise a few open-ended questions. One open-ended question that we advise is asking what their thoughts are on Ontario's energy future. That's a great open-ended question, just to find out how they feel about an issue, and this is going to inform you how to respond to them. you want the asker. So this is the person who would provide the leave behind and articulate the asks. Obviously, you're going to open it up to any further questions that the politician may have. And then you want somebody who's going to do the follow-up, who's going to provide the thank you and any information requested. Typically, this person is the lead who will follow up after with an email with a thank you. It's really nice to send an actual written thank you card and mail it to them. You want to assign a photographer at the end. And if it's on Zoom, then you just have to press the print screen button. And if there's somebody who, if you can, have an observer just to look for body language. So in a meeting, once you actually get the meeting, you want to, okay, there's the agenda, perfect. So this is typically the agenda we follow, and it's kind of like what I just said. You want to do, first of all, introductions, then the appreciator gives the appreciation time check. This is, and usually the lead will say, and we will role play this, usually says, you know, we're here to talk to you about the gas plants and the phase out. But before we do, and before we provide you with the ask, we do want to ask you just a few questions on your thoughts on the issue at hand. For example, what are your thoughts on Ontario's energy future, maybe in the next 10 years? And that would open them up to thoughts and, you know, their ideas. That will kind of spark a good conversation. At some point, the timekeeper might have to do it, or somebody will, the asker might instinctively know to jump in and start to provide the ask. You want to do it within at least like 20 minutes in, you really want to start providing the asks. And then, of course, you ask any questions. If they have any questions and if they want further information that you don't have, that's a great opportunity to say, we're going to follow up with you and make sure that you get them. Angela has some really amazing graphics, great resources that could be shared, whether you're in the meeting or afterwards. And then, okay, what's observer? Right, so meantime, the note keeper is taking the notes. And then you also want to, I don't know if we have in here, but what you do want to do is have a photograph, if you can. If the politician really has to go, then obviously that's not going to happen, especially if it's face-to-face, because you kind of have to, you know, pose. But it might be easy on Zoom. But read the room. If the politician really needs to bolt, then you have to respect that time. Really try and avoid any kind of extending the conversation when obviously you need to be wrapping up. Again, great opportunity to follow up with them with an email to continue to provide them with resources.
And they usually like to have the photograph though, too.
They do like the photograph, and then ask them if you can share it on social media. They love it. They usually say yes, but you know, it's a courtesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just flipped up to role play meeting because that's what we're going to do next, right?
All right.
Like, are we good to go? Cheryl, did you want to add any additional points right now?
I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Okay, let's take questions. I am going to stop the screen share for the moment so I can see if we've got any questions. Or maybe Val can see if there's questions in the chat.
There are questions in the chat that I've been noticing here. A couple of people have asked about to whom do they refer for sources? If they say, okay, you know, that the gas plants are dirtier than coal plants by how much, or they're cleaner than, I don't know, nuclear or wind power or whatever. If people are start to ask nitty gritty questions, where do they refer them for sources?
Certainly. Always say thank you. That's an excellent question. If you know off the top of your head, obviously tell it. If you have the document in front of you, provide it. But you could say, I don't have that information at hand. I'm happy to look for it for you. Or I know for sure we do have it, and I will will make sure that we email it to you.
And Angela is a great source of information.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was a great question.
And there's a question about the municipalities that have signed. I think it's 38 municipalities that have signed the letter to Ford, asking him not to expand gas on the grid. Angela, is that an easy list to provide?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. Joyce, did you have any other questions there?
I don't think so. Mostly it was, oh, energy storage. Someone asked about energy storage. So that's sort of getting into the nitty gritty. Again, I think it's the same answer as Cheryl you just gave, right?
Yeah.
For details, just, I guess Angela is a good source, the Ontario Clean Air Alliance, and Angela did put up her contact information on her slide. I guess we could put it in the chat again.
Also, it's gonna be in the background doc that we're emailing you tomorrow.
Oh, okay, great.
And it's it's great that you're asking these questions. What if they ask for this? What if they ask for that? It's a great way to prepare, to provide those documents, those details, to offer up to the politicians. And be sure also to say, hey, we have these documents if you're interested. And if they are, that's great, but you don't want to overwhelm them. You don't want to be throwing documents at them. So just ask, it's a dialogue, and find out what they would like to receive.
Yeah. Okay, and there's a question here from Liz, who heard on CBC that the reason VW agreed to build a battery plant in Ontario was because we had a clean energy grid. And yes, I do believe that we need to say to the politicians that businesses are looking for a clean grid, and that renewable energy is our future. Angela made the point in her slides that 90% of our energy in future has to be provided by renewables. That's the direction everything's going. And that is the direction that Ontario government, the current Ontario government, is not supporting. So we're really looking for champions who are going to raise that issue in the House, who are going to raise the issue with their federal counterparts, and who are going to confirm that local politicians are going to insist that nothing is expanded within their municipalities. So we're really looking for champions when we go to these meetings, and probably not every MPP we meet with is going to be a champion. They may be at an introductory level of learning, in which case we are providing some education and their learning. But we may come across some champions through our meetings. This is why the meeting notes are so important, and that they're provided to the coordinators of the lobby campaign, so that we can find where these potential champions are, and we can get them to start speaking up, because that's not happening at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to do is to move on to giving you our demonstration. We're going to give you a demonstration of how to set up a meeting, and a few minutes of how to conduct that meeting. It's going to be very truncated, just like a shortened version. But then we are going to give the opportunity to do that in groups. We'll have 4 breakout groups, so we hope everyone will stay so that you can go through the process of setting up a meeting, a hypothetical meeting with a politician. You can name which party that politician is from. We have volunteer politicians who are going to play those roles tonight. We have volunteer coaches who are going to provide you some support and feedback as you set up those meetings. But first, we thought we would demonstrate it. So please do hang in here while we do a bit of a demonstration. And I see there's one note in the chat here, maybe others, about finding connections in a particular geographic area. This is Parkdale High Park. We're going to facilitate that. Again, we have a sign-up form for people to, and I already have from the April 5th and April 18th and 21st meetings, I have a list of people who've signed up and the writings they're in, so that the next day or two, I will be compiling that information so I can reach out to the people who are from the same area. I'm sure, Cordelia, that there will be others in the High Park area that want to join with you. So we're going to connect folks up so that you can do your ask for the meeting together, and you can do your meeting prep together and do your meeting together. So we will do that. So for now, maybe we'll focus on the demonstration. And okay, So I think we are, yes, the sign up, connect with others near you, sign up. That is in the chat. So please do that. So that we know that you want to be part of a lobby group. Okay, so I think it's over to you, Cheryl, to get us. You're going to
Okay.
play the role. Cheryl's going to play the role of the lobby lead. And this is our preparatory meeting first. So maybe we can get the video on, those of us who are part of this demonstration. We just recently did it. It's a little bit ad hoc here for you, but to give you an idea of how you might do this when you get into your role play groups.
So in our meeting is going to be Joyce, Lynn, myself, Carolyn, Angela, and Kathy LaCroix is going to be playing Kathy the politician, the MPP. Okay, I don't know if we can we get Angela and Carolyn in here as well? Oh, great. Awesome. Okay. So Kathy the politician is not hearing us, but we're just going to do a little setup. We're just going to do the briefest of organizing our meeting. So this is our pre-meeting. So I am.
You can turn off your video for now, just so people realize you're not in the room yet.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just do that. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, great.
So we're doing our prep call. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So we are meeting with Kathy LaCroix. She is an MPP. She is with the Liberal Party. She doesn't have a portfolio that involves the environment or energy. So I'm not too sure what her understanding of the issue is, of how much we need to inform her. I'm the lead, obviously. We're going to need a note keeper. Who is willing to do that? Oh, Angela, thank you. You're such a good note taker. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to need a timekeeper. Who would like to do that job? Joyce, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. We're also going to need somebody who is going to provide the ask. Sorry, my voice.
I'll do the ask.
Awesome, Carolyn, thank you. And then we're going to need somebody who can kind of be part of the discussion. I don't know if you want to be doing it. Okay, perfect. Okay, and of course everybody can jump in as well, so that's good. Now I'm jumping out, and just to let everybody know, we have a 10-minute meeting. This is going to just be 10 minutes, so it's a very short. We're just going to jump right into it, but we want to give you an example of an open-ended question as well. So it's just going to be a bit fast-tracked. So I guess we're ready, and we've just come into the Zoom. We're waiting for Kathy LaCroix, the politician, to arrive. Hello, hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, you are muted.
I can't hear you.
I always like to have, get to know what people are thinking. And so it's great to have a meeting with you.
Great, wonderful, thank you. I just wanted to say, first of all, I just want to appreciate all of what you're doing in terms of affordable housing. That's something that's really important to me, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate your work in the legislature on that. We're going to jump through, and just so everybody knows, we've gone through the introductions. We are here to talk about the gas plants, and what we hope for is a phase out until by 2030. But before we launch into our ask, we do want to just find out more about your thoughts on the issue, and what are your thoughts on Ontario's energy future?
Well, Ontario's got a long history of really clean energy. So I think in Ontario, we're quite proud of that. And we still do use some fossil fuels. We are transitioning, and we got the natural gas is a cleaner fuel than what we had before. So, I think we're sort of on track. I mean, things can always be better, but.
Okay, so if I could summarize what I'm hearing you say, Ms. Lacroix, is that it's important to you that we have a clean energy grid. Your understanding is that we're moving in that direction. You do know that I think you know that we are increasing the amount of gas in the grid right now, but you're thinking that it's cleaner than what we had before. But you may not be aware that in fact, methane is 80 times as powerful. And
What?
methane,
80?
yeah, which
Holy.
is what's called natural gas, but it's actually a fossil fuel called methane, is 80 times more powerful greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And it's pretty leaky, so it doesn't all burn efficiently. There's a lot of leaks, so a lot of people think it is just as dirty as coal.
Wow.
And it's definitely a fossil fuel. So our question would be, what about moving to renewable energy future? You said you understood we're transitioning that direction. And that's why we're here to talk with you about Ontario's energy future, so explore that a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know, and we did a time check at the beginning, so we know that we're almost at time. We do want to get into the asks, and Carolyn would love to provide them for you.
Hi, Carolyn.
Right, yeah. So we've got 5 asks, Kathy. Number 1 is that we phase out gas power by 2030. Number 2, that there's a moratorium on new gas plant construction and expansion. Number 3, that you will advocate with your political counterparts for strong federal clean energy regulations. And number 4, that you'll ask your party leader to speak out against the gas power ramp up. And number 5, that you will support renewable alternatives to gas.
Well, I think I can push some of these ahead, but my ministry is not directly concerned with climate or environment. But yeah, I think I can bring it up to my caucus members that are more directly concerned with these matters. And I support renewables. I think they're great, but yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned about the the time that we can transition to them and the relative cost.
Thank you so much, Kathy. We really appreciate you offering to do that. That's really, really important. And we have several resources that we're happy to email them to you if you like, that provides more information. And there is some good news. There's a lot of good news, actually, just in terms of renewable energy and its potential for Ontario. Would that be something you're interested in?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I will follow up with you personally about that. Thank you. I know we're at time. We so appreciate your time. We were wondering if you have time for a quick photo.
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. And is it okay if we share it on social media?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so everybody look at the camera. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Cheese.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll definitely share it on social media. Thank you for your time. We will be in touch.
Thank you. Come again.
That's so significant that she said come again. It means that she didn't feel attacked during the meeting. She felt that we were in dialogue in the meeting and she's willing to meet with us again. So that's kind of our number one preferred outcome from a meeting, is that they're willing to meet with us again. So that's really good that she's feeling like that at the end. Yeah. Any other debrief comments we want to make before we go ahead into setting up our breakout groups?
And I just want to find out, Kathy, as the politician, how did you find that response to some of your concerns?
Yeah, the response was good. There was no response to my concerns that when I talked about the ask. Or when you talked about the ask,
I wanted to
ask me about the ask.
wanted to jump in and say, actually, renewable energy is a lot more affordable. Like, we have that chart. If we were actually,
I think it would have been a good opportunity to ask if you could send a couple of the pages from Angela's
Perfect.
presentation, because they were directly related to what she had in the presentation. There were like 2 pages, I think, could have answered those questions.
Yeah, and when you're on Zoom, you can share a graph. It's easy to do. So I've done that a few times. So that little graph Angela has of the different prices for energy, it would have been quite good at that moment. We're just trying to give you a really short Sure.
Mhm.
You can see that direct response to the questions that they raise. If you have the information, share it with them. They appreciate it. Their lives are very rushed and they have to cover a whole lot of topics. And many of them actually really do value the meetings with us because they learn something from it. Yeah, so
I think this was a good demonstration of why you should ask your ask not right at the very end, but give a few minutes ahead of time so that you can address if the person says, well, I can't do this one because of such and such, and you have an answer. If you're right at the end of the time, you can't give them the answer.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, if you have 20 minutes, you do have that luxury. There's some really good questions in the chat. One is, oh boy. Okay. Do you typically rebuke the politician if their information is erroneous? And yeah, there are situations in which a politician will provide information that's highly questionable. That's a tricky situation. That's a really, really good question. What you what you don't want to be is doing this, because if you get to this, then they're not listening. So it's a bit of a trick to listen to what they say. I always find, like, get behind what they're about. Like, if they're concerned about stability, if they're concerned about affordability, then you might want to kind of agree with that as a concern that you have as well, and to provide them with information. You may not change their mind ever, ever, ever. But if you're able to kind of get them to think about it, to drop a seed, and to provide them with the information to look at, which they may never look at, there are some people whose minds we will never change. And that's just the reality of it. It's those people who are ambivalent. They're I think more interesting and probably more open to what you have to say.
Yeah. If I could just add that what I tried to do was pick up on her value about clean. She thought that we were getting a cleaner grid with gas. So I picked up on the value about a cleaner grid, and then provided some information about gas that is showing that it's not actually cleaner, and that we do have cleaner options. And that's why we've come to have a discussion with her. The important thing is to be respectful, so she doesn't feel like we think that she's misinformed, or we think she's any lesser because she might not be thinking the same way as us. We want her to feel respected and give information that we provide respectfully, and pick up on whatever nugget she gives us. So she gives us a nugget that she values a clean grid and she thinks we're going that way. We want to hear that part. And at the end, you wanted to know about affordability and cost, right? What's the most efficient, cost efficient? So pick up on that and then give the information. Yeah. The main thing is, like, you can always say to them, this is from my mediation days, you can always say to them, so you're thinking this, right? Even though we know it's not true. So you're thinking that you're thinking of gas as a cleaner alternative than what coal we used to have, etc. Right? Because you value clean and you go that direction, and you just may not realize that this and this and this, right, is the case.
Yeah, that's a great way. With Len, it's like they need to feel that they're being heard. So long as they're being made to be feel heard, then they're more open to what you have to say. I am conscious of the time. It's 10 to 8, and I know we want to give everybody a chance to practice.
Yep. So Ray, do you want to, or Val, tell us what's going to happen now about our breakout rooms? Do people need to select a breakout room, or are you going to assign people?
Actually, hi, it's Ray. So I'm just going to do an auto assign, and people will be automatically put into the 4 breakout rooms that we have. And the coaches and politicians, you'll just have to figure out if you're doubled up in a room or not. But I'll try to look at moving you around if I can. Okay. So I'm going to give us, let's see here, 29 minutes. At the 27th minute, you'll get a 2-minute warning, and then we'll start opening up the room. So let me just start that.
Ray, would it be helpful if we politicians put politicians beside our names?
It would have been, but if you can do that.
We can. Well, if it's not too late.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I've got 27 minutes for the breakout rooms, and then you get a 2-minute warning. You can still stay for that remaining 2 minutes. So you have the full 29 minutes. And I'm going to open up the rooms now.
Okay. So do we assign ourselves, Ray?
Oh, it looks like you do. Yes. Sorry.
Okay, that's great.
Do we have the rooms, 4 rooms? No.
You have 4 rooms. Yes.
Yeah, for rooms. I don't see my name. Oh, maybe it's under coach.
We can't choose a room. I don't see how
No,
to choose.
you can't choose a room.
Oh, really?
I think it,
Okay, so maybe I'll
Yeah,
just.
we can. It's at the very bottom. If you scroll down, you can choose a room.
okay, I'm gonna be room 1.
Okay.
Nope,
Okay.
I'll be room 3.
How come the auto assign's not working? Okay, let me figure this out.
Okay, so
So Lynn, I'm not seeing anything where I can jump to another room. Nothing's showing that.
I think you just scroll all the way down. I opened my
I
chat.
have scrolled down. And I don't see it unless it's in the chat. Is that in the chat? Is it?
I'm going to assign you now, Paul.
There should be a blue join button.
Okay, so Lynn, which room
I'm
did you
gonna-
want to go to?
I'll join number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah, I think that needs one.
Okay. So we have a coach. Val, oh, Val, you're gone. Coach. Coach.
I would like to go to room 2. That's where I should be.
Where are you right now?
I'm going to room 2. I got bumped to 1. I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to go back to room 2. I'm going to stay there.
Okay, are you a coach or a politician? All these people.
Hi, Ray. Sorry, now I see that Joyce is in there as well. So there might be a room that doesn't have 2 people.
Okay, so there's supposed to be a coach and a politician in each room. So if you go to room 1 does not have
No,
a
they've got
politician right
they've
now.
got 2 people. They've got Cheryl and they've got Cheryl as the politician and Coach Carolyn Holding. They don't need anybody
right.
in room 1.
Okay, no, you're right.
I thought that I
So
was
room
needed.
2 has room 2 has Joyce and Mary Blake
Yeah, so
Rose.
Joyce wasn't there before, but now she's there. So
But I'm missing a coach.
well, where are
So
we?
you need to go to room 3.
Okay, room 3. All right, I'll join room 3.
Okay, thanks. But I'm missing. Cheryl. Choice.
Sorry, they've got Val and Kathy, so they've got 2 people in that room.
Okay, so then you need to go to yeah, because I don't have coach. Okay. So Kathy's a coach.
She's
Kathy
a
Loco.
politician. She's a politician, and Joyce is sorry, Val is the coach.
Okay,
But I
right.
can't
Okay.
see room 4 for some reason. It doesn't even show. Oh, here we go. Room 4's got Angela.
Angela is a politician.
Oh, but you've got Val listed twice now. Oh, that's 3. Oh, Jesus.
Val is in 3.
My
think-
this is not displaying properly for me. I'm trying to look at room 4. Got Angela.
Yeah,
Jay.
that's it.
Yeah, but you've got Val written down there, but Val's actually
Val's in room 3 right now.
yeah, so you don't have the okay, well, why is this thing not sticking on room 4? Who do you have in room 4?
Just Angela. So who's the missing coach?
And so I will go. Well, Mary Blake decided she's a politician, not a coach, but she's actually doing coaching.
That's why I got messed up.
She's the yeah, she didn't come on at 6. That's why we didn't realize that we also had her.
Well, we should have. I think we should have stuck with 3, but that's okay.
Anyway, you could move me to room 4. It is since that's with Angela.
You can't move yourself.
I actually thought room 2 needed me because of who's in it, but that's they may not think they need me, but I can go to room 2 if you think Angela's good by herself. I can't see how many other people are with Angela.
Jay and Liz are with Angela.
That's it?
I can't. I don't seem to be able to move you to. Oh, okay. I'm gonna move you to 4. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's see. Who do we have? Karen. Yes, Elizabeth,
Yeah, hi.
can I assign you to a room? They're into the demo,
Oh.
into the role play now.
Yeah, you can. I'm sorry. I was like, I thought that the meeting was over, but then you let me in anyways. Go assign me to a room.
Okay, there you go.
Hi, Ray.
All right, you're back
So we're
early.
back, but maybe not the other groups yet.
Yeah, you didn't see, there's only a 2 minute warning, right? You can still stay in the rooms for 2 minutes.
No, it looked like we were supposed to leave. It didn't say 2 minutes. But we're here and we could debrief here just as easily. So we did a great job. We were meeting with Peter Tabbins, as you can see, still identified here as
Oh.
Peter Tabbins.
Okay, I thought we were debriefing with everybody though. No? Aren't we debriefing with the whole room?
Yes, we are, but they're not all here yet. So I thought I'd
Okay.
say something while we were waiting.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Peter Tabbins came aboard.
Yeah.
A total pushover.
Yeah, well, we got to practice the different steps in a meeting, the different roles in a meeting. So I
Oh.
thought that was good.
So there was enough time then?
Yeah, it was great. Timing was,
Okay.
was really good. We had 4 or 5 minutes to debrief at the end. So
Mhm.
that was good.
We had a good timekeeper.
We had a very good timekeeper. Yes, we did. Yes. And yeah. There you go.
So do you think for people like me, Jessica Bell is my MPP, is the answer to sort of get her to persuade Merit Stiles to make more of an issue of this, or
Yeah,
to educate?
Ansel a nod. Yep. Yeah, we there's really a couple things we wanted to do. That's really important, that the NDP become advocates on this issue and stand up. The way they are differentiating themselves on other issues from the government, they need to differentiate themselves on this issue, so that the electorate knows that these are our champions for a renewable energy future. Right now, that's not very obvious, so they can work on that. She can also be an advocate with the federal level, potentially. Now the federal person is Christopher Freeland, for University of Rosedale. But if she could help advocate at the, let's say, the NDP with Singh, the leader of the NDP federally, to advocate to him that he stand up for a much better clean electricity regulations federally. So we need both to have it raised at the provincial level and to have those provincial level people raise it federally. The clean electricity regulations draft might come out in June, but we're understanding that it's heavily influenced by industry, and it's
Hi, the rooms are going to close in 2 minutes. Sorry, I guess I missed the.
sorry, I got bumped room 4, and now I'm back again. Okay.
Rooms are closing in 90 seconds.
Oh, because people were mostly here before, I thought. Anyways, now we
Yeah,
are.
I'm back too. The same thing happened to me.
Okay. We need more practice on the breaking out of rooms, but anyways, we got our practice. Now gives us a few minutes to debrief how people found that practice experience and any questions you might have. We just covered the question of what we might expect an MPP to do, raise it both provincially, and get the caucus and their party leader, Merit Stiles, to raise it provincially, and also to raise it with the party leader federally, Singh, and also with their federal counterpart, which in Jessica Bell's case is Christopher Freeland. So there's lots we can ask them to do. They're pivotal and really important. Observations or questions coming out of the role play groups at all? How did it go? And everyone's back. Okay, great. Everyone's back now. That's great. We got 26 folks. Very good.
Yeah, I think it was helpful. I think, but it also shows you have to know what you're talking about before you start talking. And because we were in this kind of ad hoc breakout thing, we didn't really know what we were talking about so very much. But one of the questions that I have is, how do you counter that?
By not knowing what you're talking about. I mean, there's so little information on our energy supply.
Okay, so Lowell, we were just hearing from Carol, so I'd like to go back to Carol.
So I'm just wondering about, like, I think that one of the arguments that you're going to get from politicians is that the reason why we're relying on gas partly is because it's reliable. I think that's the IESO view, you know, and,
Right.
and whereas the renewables are, you know, not so reliable. And we need an argument to counter that. We need enough facts to be able to counter that.
Right. So you're identifying the need for that in our background material, and I see Angela's got her thumb up there. Were you going to say something about that? We are going to advocate, like, there's going to be more preparation materials for you, and also we can attend. One of us can attend your lobby meeting prep session, because we want to make sure you do have the background that you feel confident to raise it. Sorry, I had Val, and then maybe Val's disappeared, but then I've got Paul and Joyce.
I was just going to say a quick
Wow.
thing, Lynn, and that is that we were reminded to try not to ask questions that the politician could simply say yes or no to. So that was a learning in our group. And I just, as the chat monitor here, I want Elizabeth Holding is asking about other people in Ottawa. So if you're from Ottawa, can you pop your names in the chat? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sure we have folks from Ottawa that we've been collecting. I've got a little document that I'm collecting the people who signed up April 5th, April 18th, and April 21st. Carolyn has another has the sign up link. Maybe it could be popped in the chat again, or maybe you have it, Val, that if individuals sign up there, we will match you. So we will connect you. In the next couple of days, I'll be doing all that connecting with our lists.
Yeah,
And
I think there's
I'll find you somebody from Ottawa as well.
8 people in Ottawa in the postal codes K1 and K2. K1, 5 of them, and K2, 3.
Yeah. So we have folks to connect you with. Great. So let's keep it brief. We got Paul briefly, and then Joyce briefly, and then Angela. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. If just about that reliability, that there's really a lot of stuff on energy storage, a lot of innovative things. And I just put one in the chat, 30 times cheaper than lithium ion. Okay. What I would encourage people to do, if you want to understand a little bit about that, watch some of the videos by Just Have a Think About Energy Storage, and you'll see really big innovation in that space. And that's what you can go and then provide that to the politician if they were wondering about it, because there's huge progress in that area.
Yes, the politicians cover a broad range of topics, and if they're not the specialist on this field, they will not know the most recent things, and they'll appreciate those kinds of links. So thank you, Paul, for that. Over to Joyce briefly. Joyce, we can't hear you, Joyce. Yeah, we can't hear you.
I was just gonna remind people that yes, it's vast. You can just there's so much to know, and you can always tell them, the politician, that you'll get back to them. Okay, you don't feel like you have to know everything on the spot. It's impossible.
Yeah, but it's a good opportunity to do some reading up and become more
Exactly.
informed before we do these meetings.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so over to Angela.
All of these questions that people are bringing up tonight are really good, really standard questions, and I'm going to address them all in the fact sheet that we're going to send you out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Or, give you links to find out more information,
Yeah.
etc.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, we didn't put together a survey for tonight, but just by show of hands, could I see how many people feel like you are now better prepared to go to a meeting? Maybe not fully prepared, but look at that, isn't it prepared? Okay, so thumbs up if you
Yes.
if you are feeling a little better prepared for a meeting. Excellent. Very good. Yes, can we do a screenshot of folks? Do you mind if we do that? You can keep your thumbs up or however you want to be. And we'll take a picture for the record. Thank you, folks. And wonderful. Okay, good. So you can unmute everybody and let people say any comments you want to make as a goodbye tonight. But before you do, sorry, I should just say first a thank you to our volunteer coaches, wherever they are in the room here. We've had coaches and politicians, volunteers. We've had Kathy and Val and Joyce and Cheryl, Angela, myself, Mary Blake. Am I missing? Carolyn was a coach. And have I missed anyone? And Val, I did mention Val, I think. Yeah. And thank you very much to our volunteers and our tech team.
Yes,
Ray and Val. And I'm seeing some comments about this being well organized. Thank you, Pamela. That's nice of you to say. We're doing our best. We're a small but mighty volunteering group and a growing group. We're part of Ontario Climate Emergency Campaign and many associated groups that are members of the OCEC. We're from all over the province, and we're going to really make a difference to the future, to Ontario's energy future. So thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank
and
you.
Paul, yeah. I think so. Close, but just briefly.
So do I have a sense for a comment or let it go? Or we got to go?
Put it in the chat. That would be great. Put it in the chat.
Okay.
Because
All right.
8:30
Okay.
and we need to wrap up. So again, we can just say our farewells and we'll be in touch. Please send any questions. I'll just put my OCEC email in the chat. So if you have any questions at all, please follow up. And as Angela said, we're going to try and give you as much information as we can in a follow-up letter. So I'm ocec.chair@gmail.com. That's me, Lynn, and you can get in touch with me. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Great turnout tonight.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
The
everyone.
coaches and politicians could stay back.
Can
We can have
stay.
a quick debrief.
Coaches and facilitators can stay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Bye, Paul.
Thanks, Mary, for coming on board.
Oh, and Ken, I see you're still on, and I wanted to just say thank you for sending that letter that you did with all the concerns about us having missed opportunities to raise things about the price, etc. So all I can say is we're going to do the best we can raising it now because this is such an urgent matter now. But I really appreciate the background. Thank you for that.
Well, I don't know about missing anything in the past. It took our group. We only tuned into that a few months ago, so that's fine. Just going ahead and have a gander at some of the footnotes we made.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your comment.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we're all learning all the time as we go.
Nice to see you. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Bye bye.
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 Okay.
Over to you, Ray.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I thought it went really well. There weren't any major technical glitches. Maybe a little bit mixed up in the, I guess, politicians and coaches. I got a little bit mixed up there. But I'm not sure what I actually had auto assign turned on for all the participants. So they should have automatically gone to the breakout rooms. But I don't know what happened, but I had to manually send each one individually. So I apologize for the time to do that. So right now, it's quick, what I call a quick debrief. Is just to make sure that we capture any of the things that worked and things that didn't work for you during this session so that we can learn from it and pass it on to the next webcast. So just kind of go around the circle and then you can all go for supper or watch the Oilers game or whatever else you'd like to do. So I'll just start with Angela. What worked and what didn't work?
I guess I thought technically and organizationally it was all really good and it was actually a really enjoyable meeting. Instead of just being info, it was actually we were doing something and having fun with it. I was surprised that all the different roles that were assigned People actually took their roles seriously, and it meant they all contributed to the meeting. And that was really valuable.
Good. Okay, thank you. Mary Blake, sorry, I haven't met you. Thanks for joining us and helping out tonight.
Oh yeah, no, happy to be here. No, I mean, I think this was great. This was probably my fault, but I wanted people to introduce themselves quickly in the breakout room, so then that took longer than it should have. So then we didn't have quite as much time as we should have for the meeting. But and I mean, it felt like it was a helpful activity. I mean, I felt bad because it seemed like people still had questions when we had to wrap up. Although that usually that's a sign, though, that people were engaged and it was a good discussion. So.
All right, thank you. Cheryl.
Yeah, no, I thought it went well. I mean, I thought we all kind of pulled it together. I thought that the mock-up went well. I'm really glad that we rehearsed it beforehand. I think that it definitely hit home with the messages that we wanted to convey. My break, unfortunately, my little group was hijacked by God bless him, Lowell. Is that his name?
Lowell?
Yeah, I don't know if you've had, you're all, some of you are rolling
okay.
your heads and shaking your head. Yeah, he kind of hijacked. He just would jump in and start yelling and, well, not yelling, but he didn't make a lot of sense. He was really incoherent. So I'm hope that the others weren't put off by that. Paul was in it and he did very well. He also, and I want to mention before I forget, he said that he has experience meeting with Ontario Conservatives, and he has some really good insights into their point of view or where they're coming from. So he would be really good to consult. So Paul Stevens, yeah. But anyway, bravo everybody. I thought we all did very, very well. I really appreciate everything, all that you've done.
Okay.
Maybe if you remember who was in your role play group, and Mary Blake, you might remember because you did introductions, and Cheryl, I don't know if you remember the other ones besides Lowell, but if you remember who they are, write them down now, because I don't know who was with who. Just might be interesting to know that.
It was Karen. It was Karen and Paul in our group.
And Jude.
Jude?
Yeah.
Well, next time we should take a screenshot of the names, because I can see the names, but I didn't know that you wanted to do that. So
yeah, it's interesting afterwards, because sometimes
Lowell has actually done that before, so I think that's something that we have to be careful of in any future sessions.
I think it's very important that he doesn't show up at a politician's meeting, because he could really it would be very upsetting for anybody who's trying to have a good meeting, because he will hijack it.
All right,
He didn't really understand the concept. He didn't understand, okay, this is a role play. We're not going to cover all the content. It's pretend, blah, blah. Yeah, he was.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Caroline, so your turn. Did anyone want to say anything further?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yes, I was within Cheryl's room. I really appreciate all of the resources everyone brought to it, and Ray and Val, your technical support, which makes it just kind of go much more smoothly and just gives us all a sense of comfort, and all of the written resources. I guess with somebody who didn't quite understand the nature of a role play, would have been helpful to point out something like, we only stick to the content we've agreed on. To be honest, I'm not sure that would have, I don't think that would have prevented sort of the process, but that might have been.
Okay, thank you. Val.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, my breakout group ended up being two people who are going to talk to Mary Margaret, next week. They're already organized, so they really practiced, and Kathy was marvelous as the politician, so it went well. I didn't have to do much coaching, I'll have to tell you that much. Yeah, it was great. I experienced Lowell last time, and I messaged you, Ray, about it, but I guess what we had thought would be that we would keep him in the main room, which is hard for anybody who remains there, but it would have been awkward in this case because he would have known he was being kept somewhere else.
Well, I didn't see your message, Val. You sent it to me?
Yeah, I direct messaged you that he had arrived and
Oh, okay.
and that he was starting to talk in
Mm.
the chat. Anyway,
It will be interesting if he puts his name down as somebody who wants to be in,
yeah,
to meet.
I don't think he will, because he's very, very cynical about going to talk to politicians, actually. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
anyway,
he might have, I have the list. I'll see if he's there or not. He's in like East York or something. He's not in, anyway, I'll have to deal with it. I have a pretty good connection with him. We share information about methane. He's very knowledgeable about
Very
methane and
knowledgeable.
all
And
that
that's
stuff.
what
We're
that's something
knowledgeable
he would
about.
have done. He was
Yeah.
in the main room together, factual information from him, because he appears to be very knowledgeable.
yeah, find a role for him that's separate
Mm.
from everybody else.
But
he's trying to-
who are the people, Val, that you were talking to from the East End group, the Mary Margaret group? Do you remember the name?
Christy was
Kyle
one.
and Kyle.
Christy
Kyle.
and Kyle.
Kyle.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, that's super.
Val,
Yeah.
Val, do you remember who else was there? I can't,
Yes,
those are the only-
Pamela from Ottawa, who she said she really liked. She thanked us and everything, but I noticed she didn't put her name in, but she did say she was from Ottawa. When someone was, that's why I kind of said that somebody was looking.
and who else?
That was it. There was someone on the phone, but they left, so I don't know.
All right. Okay, so I'll continue on. So Kathy?
Oh, the biggest thing, and maybe other people felt this as well, was the time. By the time they had arranged everything and asked me how much time we had 7.5 minutes, which I said to them, your meeting is 7.5 minutes long. And then they were like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no. So it did suffer a bit. Everybody knew that we were doing it, that it was a mock-up and that they were under pressure, but it would have been, I think, fun to have a longer period.
Okay. All right, thanks. Joyce?
Yes, I had the same problem with a shortage of time. And I realized that I've got lots to learn. I'd like to do more with the Citizens Climate Lobby, but we were able to bring home a couple of the really good points that had been modeled for us, which was the asking the open question and then listening and reflecting back, and then trying to get our new information kind of strung to something that the politician had said. And I really think that dynamic we did manage to get across. The issue came up of what happens when you get off topic, like Paul Ants, who is very interested in party cooperation, So, we said, as a coach, I just said, well, that's a great topic. Maybe you could talk to her about that another time, like set up another appointment. Because
Good
it's a great
job,
topic.
Coach.
It's a really great topic.
Good job, Coach. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I was a little nervous about my role, but I think it was okay. I think it was everybody pitched in. We didn't go through the whole role play. People did stop and they wanted to talk. They want to talk about what had just happened, so that was fine. And then I did that as well a few times as a coach, so we didn't get through the whole role play, but I think it was very worthwhile. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. Lynn, final word.
Okay, well, I wanted to thank Angela she had our group all organized by the time I got in. I remember I had a little difficulty finding where I was needed, but I was needed there. So people knew their roles already. We went very quickly through the prep. We did the role play, and Angela was a great politician actor for us. And we had 4 or 5 minutes to debrief, so we managed to do quite well. Yeah. And I guess the most only confusing thing that came up was that I brought up an issue around the gas being extended into rural communities, and that hasn't been written into the materials that people have. It should be, because we've been asked about it. There are communities grappling with that. And so it could be relevant in some, but maybe not all MPP meetings. So I'll try to see that we get something written in about that gas line extension issue. And the other one is the cost factor, the fact that gas on our grid is subsidized. So I don't know if that's in the thing yet that Joyce and Angela were working on or not yet, but I'd like to make sure people have material on that too.
All right. So I'll just say I guess I'll repeat the one thing, that there was some confusion around coach and politicians. That's why I advise on putting the coach and politician prefix in front of your name, so that when
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you can very easily see there's a coach and politician in this room. I can move on to the next one, right? So that was a bit of an issue, but I think we have a better way to approach it for next time. And other than that, I thought you all did a great job. So thank you very much. And thanks for allowing me to be the tech lead for your webcast today. And I guess we'll see you next time.
I'm going to save, thank you. I'm going to save the chat. I'm sorry that the breakout thing was frustrating. We'll have to figure out why that program is not doing what we expect. But you know what, people had good, nobody didn't seem to bother anybody. Like, they mentioned that it had a nice feel. The evening, I think Angela started by saying that was good. It felt that it was effective and moved well and covered what they wanted to know. So that is really good.
We wanted people to feel better than when they came in, and I think for the most part we achieved that.
I asked them to raise their hands. We don't have a survey, but people put their hands up and they felt that prepared. So that's really good.
Angela, you have your hand up.
And people stayed to the end too. That's an indication.
Absolutely. And they participated in the breakouts. So usually people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. So that was amazing.
I usually drop out.
Me too. Okay, so tomorrow, Joyce and we've got a really good draft. Tomorrow morning, I'll augment that draft fact sheet with the questions that were brought up today. Make sure there's a thing on storage, make sure there's a thing on pricing, etc. And then I would like to circulate it to all of us for feedback, because someone suggested we could even, if we finalized it, we could get logos on it, like OCAC and Citizens Climate Lobby and OCA and whoever else, Climate Fast. But can we do that like in one day? Can we, because what's the follow-up? Planning to send a follow-up email tomorrow to all registrants, in which case we should include Cheryl's slides, my slides, the fact sheet, a draft letter that Joyce and I have worked on for people who haven't already sent letters to politicians. We've drafted one. And
the recording link. The if that's possible to do, Ray, of the main presentations. Obviously we didn't do it in the breakouts, but is that possible?
Okay, so what part of it do you want? Do you want the Q&A part? Do you want the debrief part? I guess I need to know that. So
yeah.
So we want basically everything.
We went into breakouts about 10 to 8. So
I'll take the breakouts out because it's basically just me actually, because I'm the only one left in the main Zoom room.
Yeah, so it's the first 50 minutes and the last 10 minutes, right, would be the hour.
Okay.
Do you think people are going to actually watch that recording? It's a bunch of time for Ray to put together. Like, who's going to actually watch it?
Yeah, I think the first two workshops, the one with Cheryl and Angela, I think those are very useful ones. Like, I would prefer, I think showing those videos is probably more helpful.
And we could include those links, but I'm not sure we need to include this recording.
Angela, just to answer your question about putting that fact sheet together, if you could put it on a Google Doc and share it with everybody, I will make a point at my lunch hour to review it.
Okay, I'll have it there by noon.
Okay, awesome.
And I'll send out a message to everyone with the link, and everybody can give their feedback.
And if it's helpful, I can send the Zoom chat to you, Angela, and I think Val. If that does that helpful? For just
sure, I'd like to review it. Sure.
Okay.
I think that's really helpful, Angela, for you to point out that maybe this, of course, it would be nice to have the recording, but it is not a lot of work. I think that's really a useful comment. All right, I'll put something there.
Cheryl, could you, after you review it, can you okay it for CCL? CCL Toronto.
Sure. Did you want to have a look at it too?
If you okay, and I'm good with
Okay.
that.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Alrighty.
Barry, did you want to have a look at it?
I don't need to. Not if it's gonna hold things up, because
Sure.
yeah, I have a meeting with my city councilor tomorrow at 11. So
Ooh,
that
good luck.
back when I could look
Okay.
at it. So.
Oh, that's right. Yay, Mary.
Yeah, it was
Awesome.
supposed to be yesterday. It got pushed to tomorrow, but that's fine.
Okay. All the
Continue.
best. Good energy vibes your way.
The one thing I did want to say is that I felt everybody, all the participants that came in, like I think they felt very welcomed and that they understood that we were there to help them. So I think that really contributed to really making it a very successful session.
Nice. Nice.
So congratulations on all of
Great.
that. Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna close because I'm gonna get some supper.
Okay.
Watch the Oilers game.
You're hungry.
Thanks, Ray. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Okay,
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
thank you all.
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy, for joining us.
How are you doing, Lynn?
Good, good.
How
I'm
are your
doing
how are your
better.
little leggies?
Oh, yeah, doing better. I had a massage yesterday. It was great. And
Oh, good, good.
acupuncture. It's really helpful.
And how's your tummy?
It's so much better. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
I'm
Oh,
eating
good.
regularly now. So
Oh,
eating-
good.
yeah, and I'm still tired, a lot of fatigue still, but
Yeah, that's to be expected. You're using your energy for healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nice we'll have to have a visit soon.
Yeah, okay. All right. Bye then.
Bye.